All right, today we are working on graphing exponential functions. And so we are going to have to do the best you can. If you have graph paper, that's great. If you're able to get a copy of the worksheet, that's great. But you don't have to. You can just do the best you can on it. No matter what, even without graph paper, we can get good t-tables and do domain and range, and then you can do the best you can with graphing. Of course, it's better with graph paper, or if we are lucky enough to be in school, you'll get a copy of the worksheet. So here we go. Here is the worksheet. And we will get started on this. So sketch the graph of each function. Okay, we're going to use t-tables to look at this. And so I'm going to get that started here. Just get a nice t-table. I'm going to do a double T so you can kind of see what I'm putting in my calculator. Okay, so x values, we're going to just look at things. So I'm going to do these x values. Okay, so I'm basically putting 7 numbers so we can look at all of them. Not all of these numbers are going to fit on the graph, but we want to see basically what's going to happen with these numbers now that we're looking at exponential graphing. Okay, so all you got to do here is put a pretty simple thing into the calculator. So we're going to do 2 to the negative 4th. We're going to do 2 to the negative 3rd. We're going to do 2 to the negative. Okay, that's what I mean by doing a t-table. So let's put that in real quick and I'll show you if this will show up. Okay, there we go. Well, I don't need the solar panel. So I'm going to hit 2. And then I'm going to use the negative button, which is here. Make sure it is an exponent. So 4th. And then I'm just going to use this to just clear it like that. And then put it in. And there is a glare. But it does say 1/16. So we're going to put that down. 1/16. Okay, and I'm going to keep going like that. So I'm going to keep putting in my calculator. 2 to the negative 3rd is going to be 1/8. Negative 2. Make sure I'm lining this up correctly. I might have to do a better t-table with more room when I write for the camera. Okay, yep. We are going to use a better t-table when I write for the camera. There should be plenty of room for you to do it. There's just not for me. So we'll do a better t-table here that is acceptable, because I'm going to expect yours to be legible as well. Okay, so this is going to be negative 4, and so the value is 1/16. As you put this in your calculator, okay, notice that these aren't negative answers. The negative exponent, which we learned the rules will, basically the negative exponent causes a reciprocal. Okay, and remember, you shouldn't have to put this in the calculator, but just in case you do, what's that going to be? 2 to the 0 power. It's going to be 1. Okay, and now we put the other side in. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and let's look at that. We have this is going to be 2, 4, 8, and 16. Okay, make sure that I'm right. Put this all in the calculator, and so notice how this and this are matching. This is the reciprocal of this, so you should start noticing patterns. Okay, now let's look at how to graph this on our graph paper. I'm going to use these numbers, and so yes, you're required to have these numbers written down. So we're going to go back here, And, well, it's really hard to graph fractions, but I know 1/16. 1/16. Let's make sure we have that whole graph in. And so even if you're making your own graph paper, these graphs are custom made to fit. So they're kind of counting by ones here. And so it's going to take up this area. So if you're going to draw graphs on graph paper, just draw what they do on the worksheet, your PDF. Okay, let's see here. 1/16 is almost 0, just a little bit above 0. So -4, just a little bit above 0. Close enough. Let's see, -3 is going to be 1/8. That's a little bit higher, but not too far. -2 is going to be 1/4. Okay. -1 is 1/2. That one I can do. It's right in the middle. Okay. And then I can do the rest. 1, 0 is 1. Then 2. Then 2 was 4. 3 was 8. And 4 was 16. Okay. So this is not a straight line. And so this is an exponential graph, not a linear graph. And so this is basically what it's going to look like. I usually have to turn it so I can get it right. So it's kind of a ramp. That's how I like to look at it. So this line goes like this. Okay, and it does go on and on forever. So that's basically what it should look like. Okay, if I kept going past 4, you could imagine it would just be a bigger and bigger number. Okay, so this is kind of like that bacterial growth that we looked at in class the other day, where it starts out 2, 4, 8, 16, but then it rapidly gets out of control. And that's what this is kind of showing here. So now we're going to do domain. Remember, domain is all the x's, all the variable x's. And what I'm going to tell you with all of these is we're just going to say all real numbers, because all the real numbers are going to work. You can put any number in for an x and you'll get an answer. Now, range is not going to be all real numbers. Okay, what we're going to do is see, as we look at this pattern, basically, as we get into the negatives, we get smaller and smaller fractions, but we're not ever going to get to 0. And so the range would be y is greater than 0. Okay, and we can kind of see that on the graph where it's getting closer, but it's going to go right above. It's always going to be right above. Okay, so that was a lot of work, and I kind of went fast. If you were doing that by yourself, that was a ton of work. So there's got to be another way. So if you have this kind of calculator, and I'm going to probably pull out a little bit. And so kind of show you how to do this. So I'm going to do this next one. Okay. And there's a button, and I'm going to press it. Okay. So I hit the table button, which is right here. If you have a different kind of calculator, you might have to Google. Some can do it, some can't, but a lot of this level can do it. So I hit table button, and it says y equals. So it says enter function in x. Okay, so I'm going to type this in exactly. Parentheses, 1/2, 1/2. And then I'm going to move this out, close parentheses, exponent, and this is where you get to use this button right here. Okay, and then I'm going to hit enter. And it says start at 0, step 1. Just leave that alone. If it changes, move it back. So I'm going to do auto is fine. And okay, so I'm hitting enter. Let me show you. You can also scroll back. Basically, I just hit enter, 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 enter. Okay, and now I have a t-table. Okay, so I'm going to go back, and I'm going to, because I said that we're going to do -4, and so basically I want to find good numbers that are there. Nice thing about this t-table is I can go, okay, to ridiculous levels. Negative 17 would be 131,072. But we want to stay in reasonable things that fit on our graph. So you basically want to use this. 0 is always a good one. So I'm going to go to negative 4. And so I'm going to have to write it down. That is a requirement of the class. And that way I know that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. Negative 3, 8. But at least this is easier, right? Negative 2, 4, negative 1, 2, 0, 1. Yeah, I already, some of you can already see the patterns. 1/2, 2, 3, 4. So that would be 1/4, 1/8, and 1/16. Okay, and we can see as those numbers go up, look at those fractions. Okay, and the calculator doesn't like doing fractions above a certain thing, so it starts switching into decimals. And we can see that decimal is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, and so it will never reach 0. It'll just keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Now we're in scientific notation. Okay, it will never reach 0. So I'm just going to graph these points real quick, and we're going to compare the two and see what they look like. Okay, so starting at negative 4, I have 16. Negative 3 is going to be 8. Negative 2 is 4. Negative 1 is 2. And then we're going to get into the fractions. 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, 1/16. And I'm going to do that again, where we do curve it around. Okay. So looking at the two, it's almost like a mirror image. So the domain on all of these is all real numbers. There's not a number you can't use. Range is going to be y is, well, it looks like all the numbers again are going to be greater than 0. Okay, so we did that. So we're going to go through this, and I'm not doing all these problems because you can do some of them without help. But you're going to have to kind of look at them and discover, and they're going to start changing a little bit. And so I'm going to go to another problem. That might be a little bit more difficult. Okay, as you see, we change a little bit here. We start adding different things right here. Okay, all the numbers might not fit. Okay, so I'm going to look at that. I'm going to actually go look at one of the end problems to see if you can do that. All right, and we got a bunch of these. Okay, let's go ahead and look at this one right here. This one is good. Okay, 5. We just need to put these numbers in, and again, you're going to need to write it down. We're going to see what happens when you change something like that. So let's see here. So that's 5. Let's go ahead and put that table. I'm going to have to clear out all that I did. So that's going to be table 2x. Oh, having a hard time clearing it. There we go. So I'm going to put in 2x plus 2. 2x plus 2. See how that's still like that? still an exponent. Make sure you're doing that. And some people will do this. That is not what it is. I guess I have to redo it. X plus 2. Okay. I don't really need that right there. There we go. Okay. And I don't really want to start at 33. I guess that's where I ended, and that's where it starts, so that's fine. I didn't change it, but you can always just click, and we want to get kind of these ones around here, okay? So these are the numbers I want to graph. So I want to start at maybe -4. Okay, so you need to write down your t-table. Okay, I've shown you how to do that already. And so maybe start at -4. And so I'm just going to graph these, and then we're going to look at the difference. So -4 is going to be 1/4. Okay, so maybe here. -3 is 1/2. Okay, and -2 is 1. -1 is 2. And 0 is 4. 1 is 8. 2 is 16. 3 is 32, which doesn't fit, but you still need to write it down on your t-table. And 4 is 64. Definitely doesn't fit. Still need to write it down on your t-table. So let's go ahead and graph this up. All right, so let's look at it in comparison to the one we did here. Looks like almost the same shape, only it looks like we scooted this shape to the left, right? Because I could just put it over and it would trace the same, but it looks like this shape scooted over to the left, so the domain is still going to be all real. And the range, well, looks like it's still y is greater than 0. Okay, so I'm going to do one last one so we can look at it. And I'll pick sure. Yeah, I'll pick this one. This one right here. Number 12. Okay. You would have graphed these already by now. Unless you watch this all together. I would watch just a little bit until you get stuck then. But you do what you want to do. Alright, table. So we need to do 3x. And this time it's not part of the exponent. So make sure when you do that, you do this. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to click through that, and it's going to give me numbers. Okay, so we definitely want to do this. So here's going to be a problem. You might not know how to graph -161 to 81. Okay, so you can write that down, but it's not going to mean much to you. I'm betting that they are really small, but that might not mean a lot to you. -17 over 9. So basically when you graph these, you might have to do this. You might have to just go, well, I don't know how to graph that one. So let's look at 17 over 9. So -17, 9. Okay. And so I'm going to hit this toggle button right here. and it's going to tell me negative 1.8. That's going to be easier for me to graph. So that's negative almost to 2. And so when I graph that, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to graph almost to 2. And that one would be, that's 4, 3. So that's on 2. So that's almost right here. Okay, and so you can just go through all of these and kind of find the decimal so you can graph it. And pretty soon you'll kind of get the gist of it, that this one is going to get closer and closer to a different number. Okay, let's go back to the table. This one's going to be different. Okay, negative 5/3. So negative 5/3 is a little bit higher. So that would be negative 1.6 repeated. So a little bit higher, and then we got 0 is negative 1. Okay, and we got 1 is 1. We got 2 is 7. 2. Uh-oh, I think I'm doing this. You don't see what I'm doing, do you? Well, let me make sure we're doing this. So I got 2 is 7. That would be here. I said 1 is 1. 0 was negative 1. And then these were like this. 3 is 25. Let's see if that fits. Not going to fit. I still need to write down those 7 on all these so we can see the patterns. So this is going to look like this. And go up like that. Okay. And the domain, all real. The range, well, it's a little bit different. It goes past 0. This is probably right here a clue to what the range is going to be. We'll see. So it looks like it gets closer and closer to negative 2. So y is greater than negative 2. All right, that's it. You can finish the rest of these. This is Thursday and Friday's work. So make sure you watch the video every day so you can get the information, because we're guaranteed to be out of school Monday, and based on the weather report, we'll probably be out of school for a few days. So we probably have another chapter test online, so be ready for that. All right, bye.